Yo, what it do, St. Louis? Listen, it
What's
is
up?
8 p.m. on a Thursday night, so y'all know what time it is. Or do you? Because it's normally not time for the St. Louis Hustle podcast, but here we go. Anyway, our special primetime episode. I'm your boy, Cortez Hustler. That is my girl, Michelle.
Hey,
Hey,
hey, hey,
and we're
hey.
talking co-parenting tonight, man. How do you raise your children after the love has gone? Do us a favor as you're coming into the room. Go ahead, comment in the chat where you're from. Let us know the name of your business and or your brand. If you like a free business shout out, just don't post any links, people. That's tacky. But we've got some good stuff for you today. Before we're going to break away from our traditional script. We normally do our fake intro and then we come back and do all of that stuff. But you know what we're going to do tonight? I'm going to call on Michelle to tell y'all about what my president has been up to lately.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Let me tell you something. Your president is crazy as hell. I said
Yeah.
it. I said what I said. He's crazy. The debates Tuesday. I'm glad the debates come on Tuesday night. They came on Tuesday night and not Tuesday morning. Instead, they came on Tuesday morning and I saw the debates before the show. I would have went crazy. It was insane. This dude is the rudest dude ever. He is like officially the talk show king, right? Because he's retarded. This is the first time I ever seen a debate. This dude talked over Biden.
Yes.
70 plus times. He was just like, then the mediator was like, Mr. President, he might as well have said, shut the hell up, I'm talking. Because he didn't shut up.
He cussed the mediator out.
Man, he was like, you know what, your mama and your mama. There you go. He was droning. He said, Joe Biden, look sleepy, you sleepy. You look sleepy like you sleep, you everything. What you say about my mama? He was clowning so bad. He could have been on World Star. He could have been on that publication. He could have been on there because it was horrible. It was horrible. Yeah. Your president, that's your boy.
Anything to get y'all to forget that he only paid $750 in taxes in the last 4 years. So yeah, he gonna divert and distract and change the subject a million gazillion times.
You know what? And then this is my last point. He would not denounce white supremacy. No. Oh, we better watch out, black people. Hide your kids, hide your wife. We better watch out because he would not say it. He's like, well, I denounce the things that you should denounce when they are denounceable. Do you denounce white supremacy? I denounce anything that's not.
What did he say? Sit back and wait. Just sit back and wait.
Right. He said to the Proud Boys, stay back and stay ready or stay on what. Basically told the folks, wait for my signal. I was like, they planned something. We got to get out of here. Black people, we got to leave the country. That's it. That's all the choice. We got to leave. I don't know where we're going. Jamaica looks good.
All right. So I felt it in my spirit that Michelle needed to get that out. So she was not going to be able to hold that to next Tuesday.
I was it. It burns. It burns. I thank you so much. Thanks, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a wonderful show for you guys tonight. We like to have fun, but this is a quite serious topic because the babies are at stake, y'all. We're talking about co-parenting and how or when do you get to that place where you can do it amicably and the kids don't suffer, y'all ain't at each other's throats, nobody's using the children as pawns and all of that kind of stuff. We're going to cover it, and we got some very, very, very special guests that we're going to introduce you guys tonight, but I need y'all to do me a favor. Are you a co-parent? Put that in the comments. Yes, I co-parent, right?
Yes.
And then let us know, are you at a good place or are you still on your way?
Right. Are you yet moving on? What's going on for real?
Or have you given up on even getting to a good place and man, I can't wait till my children are 21, 25.
40. There's people out there.
All right.
People out there.
So our special guest tonight is a professional in the field of family counseling, and I'm going to let her tell you what she's all about, her credentials, and why she's qualified to give us some insight on this topic. So I want to introduce to some and present to others our resident. She don't know it, but she's our resident. Every time we have an emotional topic, she's going to be on giving her input. So, Miss Kristie Tyson, how are you, young lady?
I am wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
I guess I would love to be on every time you use some professional advice.
Awesome, awesome. Well, do me a huge favor. For those people who do not know you, tell everybody who you are and tell us a little bit about your practice, what you specialize in, and then we're going to bring out a couple other guests and we're going to get the show started.
So my company is Uplift and Inspire Counseling Services. And I've been in my own business for like a year and a half now, but I did some private practice with another agency for 2 years. And I've been a therapist for like over 13 years.
Wow.
So this is what I do. This is who I am. And I wanted to start my own because I really wanted to uplift and inspire other people to become happier, to become, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy. And that's just what I really wanted to do.
Absolutely.
I've been working in the field. Actually, I've been working like in social service field ever since I got out of college.
Okay.
I don't even want to say because then I'll be telling my age. But it's been over 20 years, honestly. And I've worked with children. I've worked with families. I've worked in school settings. I've worked in substance abuse. I've done quite a bit over my few years I've been doing this.
Cool. And when I got the flyer done, she was so nice about it. What she really wanted to say, Michelle, was Cortez, you forgot my credentials behind my name, and she was nice about it. But she really wanted to say, boy, if you don't put some respect on my name,
right? You heard me give me my MBA, ABC.
If you don't put some respect on my name, it is MALPC ABCD.
Right, exactly.
I read through the lines, Miss Kristie. I apologize.
Together, girl.
On the flyer, but I did put them in the post. So, ladies and gentlemen, so we've got some professional help to weigh in on some of these topics. We've got another dynamic guest who has got some experience in the co-parenting, and I ain't gonna give it away. I'm gonna let her tell you if she ever got to that place, how she got there, and all of that. And then we got one more special guest that I'm going to introduce. So, Michelle, can you tell us a little bit about this next guest? Miss the female guest. Don't tell us about the other one just yet.
Yes. So our next guest coming up is Vanessa Gibson. She's a great, I would call her friend. She's a great friend of mine. I actually met her out some years ago, and she just has an amazing life testimony altogether. And so we were sharing about this topic online earlier today, just in group forum. And she has such an experience from the married standpoint of co-parenting, so being a co-parent and then getting married and then having that blended family scenario, but then still having, this past situation and having to co-parent through that with the new spouse and a new child, and then the ex having a new spouse and other children. So she really has an interesting perspective on that. And she is Miss Vanessa Gibson. Welcome to the show, Vanessa.
We're gonna call Vanessa layers. She got some layers to this co-parenting game. We got layers on top of layers on top of layers. Welcome, Vanessa. Tell us everybody a little bit about yourself, and don't go into your story yet, but just tell us a little bit who you are.
Okay. I'm Vanessa Gibson. I'm 44. I'm a mother of 2. My life story is I should have had a book out by now.
Well, I can help with that. That's what we do over at Thornton Online Marketing, just so you know.
I'm not the doctor is here, which I need to see her, but a little life story is, I come from a drug addict mother, been shot, left for dead, didn't want to be my mother at all. So did everything different. I don't know my biological father, so I set out, I'm gonna have a man and all them kids gonna be his. And after 20 years of marriage, it just didn't work. We co-parents. It was hard as hell. Can I say hell? It was hard. Yeah. It was hard.
HE double hockey sticks, ladies and gentlemen. This is a family show.
I'm sorry. But then, the kids got older, and I thought when they got older that the co-parenting would have gotten better, but it didn't. It didn't because I wasn't there to stand in a gap. So, just a lot of life history, a lot of life stories. So that's me.
Gotcha. And we don't want to put Miss Kristie on the spot, but weigh in on real quick the baggage that we all bring with us, and sometimes unresolved issues, how that makes it difficult for relationships in general, but it's got to make it difficult on marriage relationships, mother-child relationships, father-child relationships. I'm sure you've seen some of this stuff in your practices as well, but how does that affect relationships in general?
Of course, yeah, it does. It really does. Especially when you have dealt with so much trauma and stuff in your life, like some of the things that you explained. There's a lot of behaviors, a lot of things that come with it, and sometimes you don't know that you're doing these things. Sometimes you're unaware that these things are happening, but yet you may have a real reason why. You might not, like you might be afraid of something, or you may have a reason why you don't do things a certain way, but it's hard to explain because you haven't dealt with those issues, with that trauma, or those those things, and it affects, and people just see you as like, oh, she crazy, something wrong with her, or something like that, because they don't really know, how that trauma has affected you.
Yeah, that's deep, man, because I've experienced that to the point where I share this often because I want to help people understand that mental illness is a real thing. We get up in church, a lot of us who are Christians, and for years we've heard people testify that I thank God for clothing me in my right mind this morning.
And don't know what it is.
And not very many people have ever woken up outside of their right mind. And I have the unfortunate pleasure of having experienced that and literally lost my mind for a period of time. And deal with your trauma, even if you don't think it's affecting you, you think it's fine. I promise you it's festering on the inside like an unhealed sore, and it will ultimately bubble up and could cause you to hurt some people. But I had to say that, and I know that's not the topic for tonight, but I want to introduce one more person. Matter of fact, I want Michelle to introduce one more person, and we're going to talk about this whole co-parenting thing. Eliani says yes. Myself and my son's dad, James Dickerson, are great co-parents. See, when she can call baby daddy out by name,
right? I just was going to
say good. Some people ain't putting the name out there in public, like, hey, yeah, me and my children's father, or me and biological. Then we go by a lot of different names, right?
The government name,
right?
But the government name out there, they've gotten to a good place. So Michelle, let's go ahead and get this thing cracking. Introduce everybody to our fifth wheel for tonight.
Okay, well, this is buckle up, ladies. It's gonna be a wild ride. So I just want to present to some, introduce to others. The father of my child. My youngest daughter is 23, and so Kenneth Martin, who, aka Baby Daddy, father of my child, he is going to join us because we are not only the best of friends, but we do a pretty darn good job at co-parenting. And we wanted to weigh in or have him weigh in just to kind of talk about, we didn't just click our heels over 23 years and become, the dynamic duo. It took some work, and we had to grow, because for a lot of years, my disclaimer, he's giving me permission to tell the truth. So there you go.
Up in here. Let's go.
Right. We finna just do what they say. We finna go ahead and so for a lot of years, I didn't like him, but that was a result of bitterness built up inside of me, because it was a failed relationship, and where our story has a uniqueness is Kenny and I have known each other. It's a little bit of May, December romance, but we've known each other since I was 14 and he was 11. Don't judge me. So
wait a minute. So you ain't new to this whole cougar thing. But she always on the podcast talking about I just attract young people. You guys always checking for me. Sounds like, lady, you got the cause of what's really happening with you and these younger guys. It started
what happened was,
Michelle, we women understand.
Well, we really do. I think we do. I migrated here from California. He migrated here from New York, East Coast, West Coast. Bada boom. 23 years later, we got a kid. Yeah. So it's been a journey. I'll say that.
Ken, my friend, you introduce yourself, man, because I got a feeling that we haven't got based on what Michelle had to say. So tell everybody real quick, man, a little bit about yourself, brother, and what was it like being stalked by the cougar?
Okay, how's everybody doing? First of all, thanks for having me out, guys. My name is Kenneth Martin. Entrepreneur, left my job in 2007 when I decided to be an entrepreneur. And I have 3 kids' mothers. Yes, so let's put it all out there.
Okay.
Only my parent co-parent with 1, not 2 upstairs. So they're a little small introduction.
Gotcha. All right. Well, you breaking up a little bit, but I heard you say you got 3 baby mamas. You got to figure out how you making that thing work. Nevertheless, Shelley, I know you've got the script. I didn't print it out. So where would we starting at tonight on this topic?
I would just say, just the brief introduction from the standpoint of, when we all get in relationships, everything seems wonderful. The honeymoon period seems to go on forever, and it's blissful, until the honeymoon phase is over, reality kicks in. Now, for some people, that is 6 months. Some people that's 6 years. Some people that's 20 years. But whenever that part is over and people decide in the relationship that they're going, both parties decide they're going to walk away. Very few times do they think about the wreckage left behind. Everything that was established during the time, be it businesses, friendships, and more importantly, the kids. It's often more important for them I gotta be happy, than to really consider, what is this gonna do to little Jimmy or little Sally, And yes, I did say Sally. We don't often think about that. So in looking at that, I'm hoping that as we do embark on this discussion, we can look at, those signs when the relationship does start to go wrong. And once you decide to get out, and co-parenting is it, what are the downfalls of unsuccessful co-parenting when it just is not working. And then maybe by the end of the show, with the help of our awesome counselor, we can come upon those tips and tricks on how to maybe mend some of those toxic or broken relationships in the co-parent realm. I know Kenneth we have on as our male to show the male side of it from he and I's perspective. But I also had another friend that he wasn't able to be on the show, but he's another New Yorker, and he is in the midst. I wish he could have been here because he would have benefited from your help, Kristie. But he's in the midst of a child custody situation with his ex, and the tables were turned because the mother is the bad influence. She's gone to jail. She sells drugs. She's a bad mama jamma. And so he's not feeling like he's being
just St. Patrick.
Right. Right. He couldn't be on the show, and one of the indicators was, I said, hey, now bro, you can't cuss. He was like, what? I'm not cussing. I got cuss. I was like, well, we gonna phone your answers in. So he was giving me permission to tell his story because he was like, I can't cuss. Oh, I don't know, Shell. I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna work out. So, and then we had a lot of great feedback from the sites today. So we're gonna dive into all of that. So I guess we can really get started with I don't want to just hog on from me and Kenneth's time or from our story, but I'll just say, just to get us kicked off officially, when I discovered that it wasn't going to work out for Kenneth and I, like I said, mentioned before, I was bitter and angry, and I didn't want to co-parent. Kenneth actually got remarried, not remarried, he got married. And so I don't know what
my friends. How you let that happen, brother? You didn't know you was gonna be in for a lifetime of hell after breaking up with Michelle and then going to marry something. Listen, brother, that ain't how the game is played, man. Nevertheless, real quick, Kristie, is there a good way to separate when there's a kid involved? Is there something that you found that, hey, these 3 or 4 steps helps this happen easier so that people can actually come to a good place and start co-parenting from a good place right away?
Well, one thing you have to do, because like you said, there's a lot of feelings that are involved when you've been with a person and then you're separating. So you really have to kind of put those feelings and all the anger aside and kind of focus on the kids and focus on their needs versus how you're feeling. Because a lot of times what you get is you're angry, you're upset, you want to hurt them and figure out how you can hurt them. And sometimes the kids are in the middle of it. Sometimes parents use the kids. Sometimes, or they see mother and father arguing all the time. And that's really unhealthy, for them. So one, you want to first set aside some of the anger. You may need to go talk to your girlfriend and vent, or your guy friend and vent, or you may need to go talk to a therapist. Hey, get you a therapist and talk to them and get some of that stuff out, because the kids don't need to hear how upset you are. They don't need to. They're already dealing with the fact that y'all broke up. So, and that's hard for them. That's step one. Is put those feelings aside and start dealing with each other the best way you can. Communication is key too. I know it probably was hard to communicate in the first place because that's probably one of the reasons why you're separating.
Right.
So communication was probably hard in the first place, but sometimes you might have to cut a lot of the communication and just communicate about the kids. Because when you have all the other conversations, why you cheated on me, why you do this, why you do that, that's not helping, and that's not getting the kids what they need. So sometimes your communication just may have to be about the kids, and that's all you can do at that time until you can talk about other things and be able to talk to each other in a more respectful manner.
Set the anger aside, know when and how and what about to communicate, and you can get on your road to co-parenting. So, Michelle A., how'd you feel when you found out Kenneth was about to get married?
How I feel out after I found out he was married? Because it wasn't no finna. It was this what? Who? I just saw this joker. He who? Not this one.
No,
This
no.
one right here.
So how
Oh,
you deal?
this one more right here.
Wait a minute, Kenneth. What you a low brother? What? One day you here, the next day you gone and got married? What?
Okay. Well, so
Whatever.
the science behind it. Before this, right? Let's dig a little deep. So, I was with a young lady who got pregnant, and we decided not to see each other no more.
Mm-hmm.
So that happened, and then I wind up meeting Michelle, and we wind up seeing each other at a club and she got pregnant. So not only were we dealing with the fact of married, that happened 5 years after the fact of us having a baby. Before then, it was more of her finding out that I had another child who was actually 2 months older than her child. So we had to deal with that heal first before we even got to the marriage heal. So it was a lot. It was a lot.
Gotcha. So sounds like Michelle got a lot to unpack here. But I'm gonna let you drive for right now, and let's get into it.
Oh, you know what? So some of the questions that we wanted to just kind of throw out in general. I unfortunately I always make the statement. I plan when I put together some of my research. I always think this gonna really help somebody. This gonna set somebody free. And 9 times out of 10, it'd be this one right here. I'll be like, this is not about me. Your guy will be like, you can eat all of that. Take it. So I was toxic, and I was toxic. And for Kristie, your comment, I mean, I was in my 20s, right? My mid-20s. And I wish I could say my maturity level was where you said, hey, you got to be able to communicate effectively and be I was not there. I wasn't a head buster, but I was like, if I'm just catching by myself, I just catch him, I can run up on him. If I could just get one good lick, that one good, and then take off running. I was like, I wanted a drive-by kind of thing. And but as I grew through the pain, I had to come out of it, because I knew one thing I never did is I never ever, and it's about either my child's fathers, and Vanessa, you could chime in, never ever talk bad about Kenneth in front of his daughter, ever. Not in front of my cousins, that was nothing. But in front of his child, when she said, "Mama where? Mama why?" Oh no, baby, your daddy had. Oh no. See, what happened was always, even when I couldn't, and I love him dearly now. I love him dearly, but when I couldn't stand him, still, because it wasn't right, And I was raised in a 2-parent household. A household. I was raised with both parents. Wasn't fond of my father, but still raised with him in the household. I didn't want my daughter to have those feelings for her dad, regardless of what he was doing to me. So I did eventually have to get over it. That's why I said I had to grow through that pain. And I came out of it. And just really being honest, call spade a spade. It took a while for us to quit. It took a while for that. Once that stopped, once that stopped, he looking like, did you really just do that? Yeah, sorry, I did that. Once we stop, it's somewhere else another will go. What month and what year? No.
Somebody is trying to put some timelines together and start figuring some stuff out. And I'm sorry for this, brother, but somebody else is going to be trying to catch you in a 13-year lie. I'm sorry, brother.
You're going to be on another talk show. Like, hey, I want to talk about that. But once we got started getting, I say, once our daughter, she only mad when she good. When she's bad, get your child. Once she got teenage years, that's when I was able to kind of get past some things. His marriage had come and gone. His ex-wife actually had tried to get me to, because everything came full circle, and she actually tried to get me to help her set him up. And through the pain, I was like, will you love somebody? Even when they've done you wrong, love is love. And even in that, she wanted me to help set him up, come help her move all his furniture out her house. Come on, girl, we can get him, and then we gonna pop out. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Take that foolishness somewhere else. I might be hurting, but that ain't me. And I'm not gonna project this hurt that I have on me on him, because that would crush him. It would have crushed him. And I love him. I still love him too much. Even through the hurt. So no. I'm because I take this to be a whole book too. But that's way in a situation, because yours is a little bit different, where you were married, and then there was when the split happened, there was children on both sides.
Yeah. So me and my ex-husband, we were married 20 years. So I married really young. I come from a terrible background, so I set out, most kids dream of becoming doctors or lawyers or the president. I wanted a family because that was something that I never had. So a family was my doctor or my lawyer. And so by the time that I married and got with him, I had already experienced life. And looking back, that is one of my downfalls, was that I took on fixing everybody, and I needed to be fixed. So I was too busy fixing everybody and then give Vanessa any time. So we married, it didn't work. He cheated on me for the and I was like, it's done. We're done.
Put it in there.
Right.
Yes. And the flip side, though, is that the last time he cheated, that became the girlfriend and then the wife. And so she knew how she got him. So it made co-parenting very hard. For me, I'm going to be honest. There was a lot of pain. There was a lot of hurt, but I kept my kids out of it. I actually got to a point where, go with your daddy. I'm getting a break financially, mentally, and everything else. Go with your daddy. So I ain't got to feed you today. You ain't running up my electric.
Okay, don't sit on the porch every year.
Right. So I wanted my kids to have their father because I didn't have a father. I was cheated. I don't know my biological father. So I wanted my daughters to have something I never had because I love them just that much. Communication, it was really hard in the beginning because I had to do it. And I just was waiting on the day that they got older. And when that day came, it was actually harder because I'm coming, or I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I wasn't there I like to call it the strainer. You put stuff in the strain and it drip out the water. I wasn't there to do that. So they were firsthand able to hear the lies and feel the rejection. And both of my girls were daddy girls, but one was that I need my daddy. Don't you say nothing about my daddy. And the other one's like, what's up, daddy? We cool. But they both were affected in different ways.
Gotcha.
So the communication got harder, I think, as when they were able to do it for themselves versus me having to do it. Because when I was doing it, it was just my feelings or just me. And as a parent that love your kids, you can kind of put your feelings aside at some point. But when they were older, it's like they getting a blunt force of the entire situation.
Wow.
So,
Kristie, real quick, she said the last bout of infidelity, the girlfriend or the side piece ultimately became the girlfriend, then became the wife.
She got promoted.
She got promoted in this piece. She jumped side piece.
She got promoted
twice. Went from side piece to girlfriend.
I didn't even think of it twice.
Side piece. Then she got to girlfriend. Then she got to wife. Talk about how That's messy, right?
That's career pathing right
there. And now I've got a co-parent, and I know my kids got to live with this chick when she's with you. And if I'm in that situation, I'm thinking this chick broke up the happy home, and she's a home wrecker or whatever. How much more difficult is it to really come to a happy place when the layers of mess kind of get piled on top of each other like that?
I think it's very difficult. And honestly, I'm a therapist. I don't know if I could, like that situation would be very hard to handle.
I told you, Shell set me up.
Kristie.
She knew I needed it.
I'm like, I don't know how, because I'm probably going to be looking at her side out myself,
I know you don't want no help from me. No.
Yeah. But, even still in all of it, you still have to think about the kids. You wish the other person would think about the kids too, because if they were, they probably wouldn't have got into that relationship in that manner. But you can't control other people. You can only control you. So sometimes there's times when the other half is not really being a great co-parent. But you still have to stand up and be the best co-parent person you can be. I know it hurts. It stings. That's a big sting.
Right.
So that's probably a good time you might need to go talk to somebody. Let's just be real.
Where was you at all my life?
You got her now, girl. You got her now.
Right. I have to give you my number in the end, okay?
Please do.
That's crazy. Kenneth, real quick. I know Michelle got some other questions that she want to ask, but I'm trying to figure out, brother, is you got the two kids a few months apart, 2 baby mamas. I know you was young and you was probably fly and you thought you was gonna be able to handle it. What happened, bro? What happened that she wanted to contact your ex and have your ex help her set you up? Bro, what you be doing to these women, man?
Look, one thing I love about St. Louis, we all say this about St. Louis. St. Louis is small. So somebody knows somebody that knows somebody. And let's say that's where it all started. And it started there, and then it just opened up to a giant wildflower.
So you being from New York, where heck, everybody don't even know everybody in one borough, let alone
you're right.
All the other 7 boroughs. You get to St. Louis, and everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows somebody. So they actually had somebody that both of them knew, and that's how it happened.
And you're not even from here.
No.
It was wild. I was talking to a male friend of mine, and he was like, "Hey, Shell, did you say your baby daddy drive a green Cutlass with some 24s?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "My other partner say her baby daddy drive a green Cutlass on 24." I was like, "Really? Is your baby daddy been kidding?" "Yeah, her baby daddy been kidding." Oh,
wait a minute. Wait one minute, Michelle. Wait 1 minute. So you mean to tell me this hating Negro that came up in here and threw all the shade of
why? You know what? That's the same thing Kitty said. Just hate that thing. What he got? And that's so funny. I thought it was a friend.
This nigga says,
right, this jigger.
My friend has a baby daddy, drive a green Cutlass, and I thought you said, oh, you couldn't have told me that a woman told you that, Michelle.
And then put us on 3-way. He put us on 3-way and called the girl. Me and her, it was talking. And then while we was on the phone, who walks into her place? She said, "Hello." He just walked in. I said, "Put that." I promise. I said, "Put that on the phone." He gets on the phone. I was like, "Hey," he said, "How you doing?" He was like, "What's up?" I was like, "You know what this is?" Shoot. Yeah, shit. Why don't you tell me what it was last night. I was over. He's best friends with my cousin, and that's actually how we met. So he's like, I was over Ian's house. Lies. I was like, you man.
Wow. So she on the phone talking about, speaking of the devil, he is.
Bad. You know what? I did want to ask from the other perspective, and Kenneth, have your say, be totally honest. What was it like? Because my next point was going to be, what do you do when your ex is not a good communicator and they won't let you see the child? I went through a period of that. So Kenny, talk a little bit about what it's like to be Michelle baby daddy. And I'm okay with what I put you through, because I wasn't always like I should have been, you know.
Angela agrees. That's a hater for you. Yes.
Yes.
Way to back me up, Angela. Yes.
And you're right, Shell. This is big. A lot of guys go this part right here, right? So I guess for me, I have an older daughter out amongst the other two girls. So she's 5 years older than them. So for me, I already had experience with having a child. So my way of dealing with it was more like, okay, she's come around. I'm just going to wait it out. I'm not going to deal with that situation right now. You don't want me to see it? That's fine. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Now, the average guy wouldn't probably done that. He probably would have had a whole attitude problem about it, things of this nature. And, I always, I tell guys today, you might not want to do this, but it's the best way to solve the problem. Go get child support. Put child support on yourself. Get your visitation rights so that you are able to see your child regardless of how your relationship is. Because that's the part. That's the part that's the most important, is the child.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying if you go and initiate the child support, even though there's a financial obligation that you're going to be mandated by the court, you're looking at least, I know that's coming, but they also are going to mandate visitation.
Correct.
Gotcha. That's heavy, bro. That's heavy. Okay. And it makes sense because I haven't had that issue. My wife and I are 24 years in, celebrated 20 years of marriage this year. And I've always wondered, thank you. But I always wondered how I would behave if I don't think anybody could keep me from seeing my kid, but at the same time, there's some circumstances that I might have to not put my hands on her, but shake her real good if she's not trying to let me see my kids, right? So I understand now what can transpire and how that could. Hey, if she don't want me to see him, I'm really upset. If I see him, if I go force this play, I'm probably going to jail, and then I ain't gonna be able to see him for a while. So I now start to understand how that makes sense. Hey, I'm just gonna go put child support on myself. Yep, I said it. Here I come, Mr. Judge, and because you trying to get mandated visitation, and that puts an end to the whole nine. And guess what? If you're financially capable, let's go ahead and do it. I ain't scared of no child support. I got money, right? So that's a great perspective. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just to piggyback on that. So when we went a number of years of doing the whole child support thing. And as my trust, because I didn't let them see her because, and the one, like, I was like, no, you can't see your father. I was like, I don't know her. And I don't know what her head is. We had sat down and had a conversation. So in my mind, the logic of it for me was, okay, if this is who this woman. Okay, if this is who you chose, then we need to sit down as adults, and you need to say, Shell, this is so-and-so, this is Shell. Child not involved. Let's work out this agreement. What do you expect when she's with us? Here's what is going to happen. And that's what I was looking for, right? But it was so like this. And for me, I'll be honest, it's not like that now. But back then I had zero trust. I had that much because I was like, I felt like, you know, both these babies are 2 months apart, and it happened the way it happened, whatever. But I felt like if that happened, that situation happened, you chose her over me. How I know you ain't gonna choose her child over mine? And I had no trust that things would be fair and something. She wasn't old enough to speak for herself, you know, and not as a distance. Thank God we've had this conversation years ago. So hopefully he ain't sitting there like, what you mean, Jill? But we're gonna deal with this. But so we have had this conversation years ago. But that's why I was like, no, you can't see her, but I don't know her. And you ain't trying to introduce us. You ain't trying to be the peacemaker and have us come together for the sake of the child. What you hiding? Who is she? She must not want to meet me. And that's the attitude I had. And when I finally came out of that, we worked through child support for some years. He started coming. I did allow you to come here and see her. And then eventually I did, when she was like maybe 5, 6 and up, she was already committing small crimes by then. So I was like, take her. Take her. She was a kindergarten, going to school with her uniform, getting to school, changing into her street clothes. Where's you gonna go? I'm gonna go to the club. What are you doing? Your daddy on his way. So by that time, I was like, hey, take her. But we worked through those things, and when she was about 12 or 13, I went to child support and said, I'm gonna take him off. He was working for Ford. He made good money. He came and was spending time. She had got integrated with her sisters. I'm gonna take him off, and you know, I mean, we worked through something out. I'm like, I'm gonna take you off, but I'm gonna need a little ticket. So, but once we got past that, our relationship blossomed, and that's really where it changed from. And just being totally real. This you said we keep last call. We still keeping it real, right, Kenny? You still good with that? When we finally stopped sleeping together, that's when our friendship had an opportunity to become. The dog was like, I am not pleased. What did that happen? But
the dog said, Kenneth, you sure? You sure?
The dog was like, that's not what I saw. The dog said, somebody lied. No. But when we finally stopped sleeping together, we had that opportunity to really focus on being friends. And here's what I want to say about our co-parenting. Was it perfect? Because I know if my daughter is listening in any fragment, I'm surprised she ain't chimed in. Was the co-parenting perfect? The end result? Not always. But were we able to work together effectively and support one another for the common goal of raising her? Yeah. Did it mean that I made a blunder and he backed it? Yeah, that happens sometimes. I was like, this is what we don't do. He was like, sure, Shell, I got your back. And it was the wrong move.
Shell, you wrong on this one, but I got your back. Listen, this is not going to end well, but hey, I got you.
Right.
United front. But just know, falls apart. I'm going to be the first one in line to say I told you so. I know that for sure.
All the time. All the time. He's like, yeah, I told you that wasn't gonna work. I told you it wasn't gonna work. But it did help, and I can honestly say today, I got a renewed love for him. He's my best friend. I ain't gonna say one of them. Let me quit because I be worried about what other people gonna think. Damn other people. He's my best friend, and I love him dearly. I kill a brick about him, you know, and I would hope the feeling is better be mutual.
Yeah,
but
Kenneth, you taking a little while to answer there, brother.
Don't get his face smacked off on TV land.
But isn't it fair to expect for that other parent, when you bring our kids around new people, make sure they're going to be in your life before you put them in our kids' life. That's important, because what is your agenda? Are you, if like you said, are you going to choose her kids over mine? You know, I need to know that if the kids are here, she got kids, you got kids, whatever, they're going to be treated equal across the board.
I love that, where you're going with that. So I've got a couple of things for Kristie, and I know Kenneth wants to chime in. But first of all, Kristie, you got an admirer. I just want to put this up on the screen right quick. You got a talker out there, Kristie. This guy talking about you, beautiful and knowledgeable. Where you know him from? But a couple things that I wanted you to chime in on is Michelle said when they finally stopped sleeping together, the relationship blossomed, right? So how much could intimacy really block and mess up stuff like that? You know, I think that is a serious deal when dealing with a situation, and because you're trying to break up, but you really ain't breaking up. Yeah, it's just still doing the do.
They breaking some stuff.
Yeah, we
But
break
it
it
ain't
stuff
up.
all right.
Right. And then not only the intimacy, can you speak to the because what I hear Vanessa and Michelle saying, and which we all know this, especially if you young bucks out there don't know this about women, they need security, right? Speak to the need of security for my child. Not, you know, if I'm in a relationship, I need security. You got to protect and provide and all that. But now we're apart. I need to feel secure that you got my kid when you're with my kids. So speak to those two issues, intimacy and the need for security, right?
So you know when you're being intimate with the person that you're no longer with, there's always going to be those hurt, angry, resentful feelings because it's like, you know, you're not together, but yet, you know, you have this child that you're sharing. So then you're still angry, you still like very resentful. So it's probably not easy. It's probably not easy at all. Because most women want more. Honestly, they want their relationship to be, you know, you already have the baby, so you want it to be more than just that. Just in him coming over and, you know, doing, you know, what you said y'all was doing.
She's struggling to remember that this is a family show here. This is a family show, Kristie. You did a good job.
And I'm guessing too, if the kids see this, that's confusing them too. Like, what is my mom and dad doing? Like, they didn't see.
Yeah, it's like you gotta come through the back cave. You cannot come through the front door.
Oh, okay. They know sometimes though.
All right, when I go around the back, knock 3 times, ask for a girl named Lupe. She'll lead you right through the underground tunnel and end up in the bedroom.
Right. So, you know, and when you have those hurt feelings, you know, sometimes you do things, you know, you don't know that you're hurting that child, but you're doing things to hurt him, which hurts that child. So, you know, you just really want to be careful with being. Some people can be fine with it though. They can have that intimacy and still treat each other well and do those kind of things. You know, people are different, but you really have to be careful if that is how you're feeling, like you're feeling resentful and stuff like that. But the other thing I hear that you are concerned about when the other child goes to the other house and they have other people over there, and both sides, mother, father, it doesn't matter. You have to be careful when you're introducing kids to another person. You need to be careful anyway, but you need to be respectful of the other person. There's safety issues. There's all kinds of things going on in this world. You think that person is safe, but you really don't know until you really, really get to know them. So I think, you know, if you're going to introduce your child to another person, it'll be nice to kind of sit down and have that conversation with the mother of your child to let them know, like, this is this person, this is, you know, who's in my life, that kind of stuff. So it's not so much resentfulness, and then they're not sitting around worried. I would like to know who my child is seeing, who my child is around. Safety to me is most important. And when you don't know the other person at all, you don't know if their child is safe.
And that's true. And to go with what Kristie said, I've remarried. Hey, he put a ring on
it. Hey, turn up.
But we both came to the table with kids. And you know, me as a mother, just I put myself in a situation where I know how I want it to be done. I know how I wanted my kids to be done. So I took it upon myself, hey, what's baby mama name? And we actually speak more than him and the mother.
Right.
And I be telling him, like, you know this? He's like, no. It's like, oh yeah. And so I reached out to her and I talked to her, and me and her are excellent. We communicate way more than my husband and her communicate. I think that's important. So when, you know, me and Michelle was talking about this earlier, the other person, depending on what part of the playing field they're on, it makes a big difference. So it just so happened, I'm kind of jealous. I got the bad side and he got the good side. But it at the end of the day, I don't do the step kid and them kids and these mine. No, we're one family.
Yeah.
So when I do for all, I'm doing for all. When I whoop one, I'm whooping them all.
Line it up. Line it up.
So
that's right. It's
important who that parent is with. That can make or break the relationship with their child.
It does. I've got something to say on that, but I feel like Kenneth was ready to jump in and share a thought or two. We're rapidly approaching the top of the hour.
Okay, so and I'm glad you brought that up earlier, Michelle, as far as having trust, right? Because this is something that I see happen, and it hurts me to death, right? Because it's not only just a trust issue on the mom side who has the child, it's also a trust issue for the father who doesn't have the child, who has to deal with a mom who has the child, who has to deal with guys who come from her household. Now, guys, this is something I always want to tell guys, and this is something I got to share with the younger generation. Men, we cannot control our baby mama's households. That's one thing that's big. I want to make this known, because we get attitude. Oh, you had such and such over there.
Guys have feelings like that?
Right.
Hey, trust me, it goes deep. It goes deep to the point where we don't even want to watch our kids. Ain't that right, fellas? Let's be real.
They gonna be an RC. I can get your baby.
What y'all could go where? You want me to watch what? I'm not watching nothing.
So
you can turn from smooth player to now you blocking. That's
Eddie.
I ain't getting it. He ain't either.
Ain't nobody getting it.
It's big, you know. And I want most of these guys, because I see this a lot. I see fathers that are not taking on their responsibilities, right? And you have to take on these responsibilities to be dads. I think we'll have less kids out here with what they call it, the baby shaking syndrome. This usually happens when some man is watching a child that doesn't even belong to him. Because that woman has to go to work, so he's in the household watching your child. This is not a good look as a father. It's big. It's big to be a father. I come from a father who raised me. My mom raised me half of my life, and my father raised me the other half. So they've never lived in the same household. She raised me up until I was 10. He took over, and the rest of the years, it raised me and my brother together. So I know what it is to be a father. It's big, guys. Take on the responsibility. It's not that hard.
If you split that responsibility, like you said, you have time to relax. You have time to do what you want to do. You have those weekends to yourself sometimes. You know,
my electric bill went down some. Yes.
Right. Yeah, I was that guy who said, I was so afraid of baby daddy drama. I ain't never messing with no woman with kids. Right. And you know what they say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, right?
Okay.
Right.
With my wife, and she got 2 kids from her previous marriage, and I literally fell in love with them before I fell in love with her. Now, I loved her from high school. I was like, man, I'm gonna marry that girl one day. And I said she would make somebody a great wife in high school. And I didn't really know her that well, but I knew her loyalty. I knew her commitment. I was like, man, she would make someone a great wife someday. Didn't know that I was prophesying over myself.
Right.
I was like, I ain't messing with nobody with no kids because I didn't want to deal with baby daddy drama, right? All I know is brothers get to fighting over these chicks, and I'm not the fighting type. I don't want none of that. So what happened was, it turned out that he didn't want no parts of being a father. Wow. So when I stepped into the picture, he gracefully bowed out and was like, that's what it is. And, the only negative about that is when I came into the picture, my oldest son was 4 and his brother was 2. So at 4, he had developed a little bit more of a relationship than a 2-year-old. So he actually suffers from neglect, right? Because he's got the daddy issues that I can't believe that all my life we're in the same city and I seen you like 4 times in 28 years, right? So that's another issue that is really, really deep. But I was like, man, I ain't want no one with no kids, man. But nevertheless, I ended up raising 2 that wasn't mine. But in true competitive form, I wasn't gonna let him outdo me. So he gave her 2, I gave her 3, and now we got 5. that's how that's gonna go down. I win 2 times. I got promoted twice. I had more.
Really?
That's my co-host. That's my co-host. He said I got promoted 2 times. Oh man, she's hurt.
You. And I put a ring on it, and we here 24 years later.
I love it.
But guys, this has been fun, man. We're at the top of the hour. I wanted to give our guests a time to ask a question or two, but I don't know if we got time for that, man. But this has been fun. So I want to go with the way it looks on my screen. If we go counterclockwise, that's Kenneth, Vanessa, then Miss Kristie, then Shell in terms of last words. So starting with you, brother.
Last words. I just want to say, fellas, take time, be there for your kids. You're gonna go through some things with your baby mama, but remember, it's a long road. It's not a sprint job. You got a nice road ahead of you. You got 18 years dealing with that woman. Take your time. Y'all get it together.
Nice. Miss Vanessa.
Women, just because he don't want to be with you don't mean he don't want his kids.
What? You better preach.
So it may have ended with you all, but those kids need both parents. God gave a child a mother and a father for a reason. We both bring something to the table. Sure. Sharing is caring.
Yes,
awesome. Madam Kristie, we thank you so much. So 2 things with your last word. Also tell everybody how they can reach you if they need your services.
My last words, just always put the kids first. Remember the kids, think about the kids. I know it's hard, I know it hurts, but if you all can think about the kids first, it can help with the relationship and the how you all going to interact with those kids, because that's the bottom line. It's about them. They're already hurting when you're not together, so just remember that. Also, so in order to reach me, you can go on my website. It's Uplift and Inspire Counseling Services.com. Or you can look me up on Psychology Today. I'm on there too.
Okay.
Those are the best ways to reach me.
All right.
Oh, one more thing. So me and another church member, we're starting a program for mentoring program for like people, women 18 to 30. It's called Kingdom Link. So it mixes counseling and ministry together. And we kind of want to help the women, so who have dealt with a lot, who may be dealing with some baby daddy drama and all that kind of stuff, just trying to get them to help them to navigate life so they can be better and do better in life.
I love that. I got to say this, Michelle, before I give you the last word, because sometimes we think mental health is taking it to the pastor.
Right.
Listen, I ain't got nothing wrong with you counseling with your pastor, and I ain't got nothing wrong with you getting into your scripture. But sometimes you need somebody who's been trained to deal with certain things, man. So I love that you guys are doing it from the biblical perspective and bringing the ministry and the counseling together. That's amazing, and I definitely want to support that cause. So if you guys don't have anybody doing your branding and your marketing and all of that kind of stuff, that is something that I would love to help you guys with. So
good, we need that.
We'll get you together on that space. Michelle, what's going on?
I would just say in closing, man, co-parenting is hard, but it's worth it. And I think if you just, from the female perspective, ladies, if you feel feelings of bitterness and rage and anger and you can't deal with him because of that, step away from the situation. Kristie, I'm a fan, and Cortez will tell you, I'm a fan of counseling. I've been in counseling many times for many reasons. That joker down there. No. But I've been, just kidding. No, but I've been in for counseling for many times, many reasons. And sometimes you have to step back from a situation. If all those feelings are going on inside of you, it's not always the other person. And now me being on the other side of it, when I had all those feelings towards Kenneth, it wasn't him. It was a situation we was in, but those feelings were driven by my past. By me coming from a home and not having a connection with my father, and I was projecting. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, ladies, we have to step back and get self-help first before we try to deal with that. While you're in the process of that, find a mediator if you can, somebody that's neutral to help you, especially if you can self-identify to say, I ain't there yet, but I know my child needs to stay.
Your mic dropped, Michelle.
My bad. People see there's so much good stuff coming through. They're like, oh, I want to call right now. No, but just get a mediator if you need it to help you to make it through those situations. 23 years later, again, we are not perfect parents, but he's my best friend. I love him from here to the moon and back. And I am grateful for the relationship we have. So there it is.
Gotcha. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my last words, do your work on the front end. Sometimes you ain't got to be with crazy people if you just take your time. and seriously on that, I talk to my nieces and try to help them understand is that you don't got to be trying to do what grown folks do. In the first 30 days, you meet somebody. The first 60 days, you meet somebody. The first 90 days, you meet somebody. Take your time. If you saying this is forever is a long time. So I got time. My wife made me wait for a whole year, and I was cool. I was like, listen, I finally come out the streets and said, I'm ready to be a full-time father and husband type, and eventually I can see myself marrying you. And whatever it takes for us to really get to know each other and bond, I believe that you can't really get to know someone unless you see them upset, unless you see them angry, unless you see them extremely happy, unless you see them overjoyed, because those reactions and responses speak to the reality of who you're really dealing with long term. And sometimes you love somebody in 2 weeks and you don't know what he like when he get mad. He might drink himself into a coma when he get mad. How's that going to be a long-term relationship? So do your work on the front end. That don't always prevent a lot of the stuff that happens on the back end. People grow apart, people grow bitter, people get angry. But I think if we do more of the work on the front end, we can create healthier relationships that are worthy to bring children into the world. And then when you part, because the relationship was so healthy, then you part amicably and you can co-parent with grace.
Yeah.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, until we
Nice.
talk to you guys next time, we want you to get your money up because you absolutely can do it.
Hustle
But more
hard.
importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. So hustle up.
All right.